Who should Terence Crawford fight next? Now I'll be breaking down each option and then giving you guys who I believe should be next for Terence Crawford. Now Terence Crawford has expressed interest in 3 of the 4 fighters that I will be going over, but I'm going to give you guys why the 4th option makes sense. Wasting no time, let's get straight into it. First is Errol Spence Jr. I feel like he's the first one I should mention simply because there is a rematch clause, and Errol Spence has expressed that he does want to activate the rematch clause. Therefore, Terence Crawford will have to take it. I know everyone kind of complains and says, oh, they don't want to see this fight. Terence Crawford just dominated Errol Spence, which I do agree. I'm not going to sit here and say Terence Crawford didn't do his thing, right? But I'd still like to see it. I'd still like to see a rematch, you know? At the end of the day, I've seen something that said, when Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fought, fans were still interested in the third. At first they weren't, but then the third one ended up picking up, got traction again. So I feel like it's the same thing with this fight. A lot of fans just say, oh my gosh, no, we don't want to see the fight. It was domination. But in actuality, everyone's going to want to see this fight happen again, see if Errol can actually live up to what the fight was supposed to be like. So yes, I do want to see this fight again. And I like to see a more competitive fight. So yeah, Errol Spence as my number 1 option so far. Let's move on to the next one. Now, a second option for Terence Crawford is Jermell Charlo. They've both been bickering back and forth. During the Errol Spence fight, you saw Terence Crawford go and talk to Jermell Charlo when he knocked down Errol Spence. He was talking all that shit. A lot of banter. You guys know we like the banter. But yeah, they were talking. Now, Jermell Charlo has also said in many interviews, especially the one with Stephen A. Smith, if you guys want to go back and see, that he will go back down to 154 if he has to fight Terence Crawford, but it could be at whatever weight after the Canelo fight, because we do know Jermell is fighting Canelo next. Now, next up is the Canelo-Alvarez fight. Now, to me, this one is a super mega big fight in boxing. I feel like this one is one of the fights that, this is bigger than big. I know they said the Errol Spence fight was big, but to me, this one's bigger than big. This one's absolutely huge. Especially since Terence would be moving up 3 weight classes. We know Jermell moved up 2, but Terence would be moving up 3 weight classes, which honestly is insane. But if anyone could do it, it is Terence Crawford. And I think if he wins that fight, this solidifies him as one, to me, top 3. He is top 3 best boxers of all time. This is such an astronomical fight for both fighters, for Canelo and for Terence, that I'd like to see it happen. And now, before, this is kind of like a hypothetical fight, and Canelo has said on the Breakfast Club, would he even get credit for fighting Terence Crawford? Because Terence Crawford is a smaller fighter, and there's some validity to that. Even Terence Crawford said when Gervonta talked about a potential fight, Terence said, would he even get credit for fighting Gervonta Davis? But at the end of the day, it's something I'd like to see. Terence has expressed interest. He has said in recent interviews that he will move up to 168 if he has to fight Canelo. Granted, he does want a catch weight if he can go to 160, maybe even 158 to fight Canelo, but Canelo has declined that. So Terence Crawford said he would go up to 168 and fight the winner of Jermell Charlo versus Canelo Alvarez. Now, my notable opponent for Terence Crawford, a lot of you guys might even disagree, but this honestly makes the most sense, I'd say, outside of Errol Spence, because I still like to see the rematch. But after Errol Spence, Tim Tszyu. Now, I know what you guys are saying. No, Jermell Charlo, Canelo, da-da-da. But let's say Jermell Charlo wins versus Canelo. There will most likely be a rematch. That's one. Second, if Canelo wins, I don't see Canelo really committing to fighting Terence Crawford. Then again, if Terence Crawford pushes for it, then I feel like it could be a super mega fight, money involved, and legacy involved. Maybe Canelo might take it. But the one that is, to me, most likely to happen outside of the Errol Spence one is Tim Tszyu. If he wants to become undisputed in 3 weight classes, I think he has to, fight Tim Tszyu if the belts get dropped from Jermell, stripped from Jermell. So it's a little tricky, but I do think Tim Tszyu is a notable opponent. He is in the mix, and it's not going to be a bad fight for Terence Crawford. But then again, after that fight, he most likely be fighting Jermell or Canelo after that, and that's when the whole argument for Jermell and Canelo might arise. But I do think Tim Tszyu is in the mix for sure. There is another caveat, though. I do think Terence Crawford at this point just wants mega fights, and the only ones that can give it to him is an Errol Spence rematch, a Canelo Alvarez fight, and a Jermell Charlo fight. Tim Tszyu being a close second, so maybe he just might get Tim Tszyu out of the way. I don't know, for the belts to become undisputed then. There's so many different options. What fight I believe Terence Crawford will take next, honestly, is the Errol Spence fight, which is kind of common sense. And then after, I truly think the Jermell Charlo fight will happen. And then I think Terence Crawford is going to retire. But Canelo, the Canelo train might intervene. Tim Tszyu might intervene. So it's going to be very interesting to see. But let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. Let me know. I'll be commenting back to every single comment. So, yeah, Terence Crawford, who do you guys think he's going to fight next? I'm out. Bow!